Martial World Teyvat Chapter 42, Fantasy Fiction by Azazyel. A spirit stone, compressed spiritual energy formed all but endlessly from the collapsed remains of the outer realm of this world colliding with the essence of the outside and the abyss which tried to force itself into this world. The spiritual energy was an energy source that could be harnessed through runes, seals, and arrays to do countless effects. So it was basically a programmable energy source. It could be absorbed into the body all but harmlessly, if not it being very helpful to the body in moderated amounts if you have the right body type. Its nature, to me who had all this scientific information downloaded into my brain, was complicated to say the least. I could feel it, I could literally see it, but even as I used it in ways not even the locals could, I still did not fully understand it honestly. But I think, that as the week went by, and we got the factory made and running, with the factory running at a slight loss of the spirit stones it tried to mine up to accommodate its massive usage of the things, that I understood a bit more about it. Like for example, spiritual energy when saturated enough would become a mist, and it was lighter than air, so the mist would drift upwards ever so slowly. Either way, beyond the usual hellbat swarms that came out during the night, there was only a small pack of Tier 2 wind-riding wolves that Ganyu quickly scared off with some arrows she conjured up. Beyond that, we faced no major hurdles in the creation of the factory other than some minor logistical issues I had to smooth over as I got the factory running smoothly. And now we wait for another week basically, as the spiritual energy incubator farms push the herbs to grow at full speed and then get harvested to make pills and such. I spoke with a yawn as I took in the 4 large pyramid-style buildings from my perch on top of the wall we had built around the factory. I brushed a hand down my face as I considered some things. What I needed now was better martial arts to refine my body that went along with my cultivation art, and I suppose automated defense platforms around the factory in case those people from the Yin-Yang Harmony sect decided to come and cause issues. A soft form gently leaned into my side and I wrapped an arm around Kaching's waist as she leaned her head against me as we took in the sight of the hard work we had completed in the last week. While the plants are growing, we should return to our cultivation in the new cultivation chamber you made for this site. Kaching spoke softly and I gave a slow nod of agreement before I said, "All right, just let me work for the rest of the day to put up the cannons I had the fabricators make. I would rather be ready for when the neighboring sect comes to poke their nose into our business." Kaching's head pushed against me for a moment before she exhaled and said, "All right. Oh, and also, I got a jade message from Lady Ningguang. Dory, the Sumera merchant you bought the alchemy inheritance from, wants to buy more of the war puppets you made as they are perfect for jungle clearing missions." My lips twitched at the fucking annoying way they called my mechs, puppets of all things. But that was the culture of this world, especially here in Liyue. I gave a grunt of acknowledgement before I said slowly, "The production of war mechs is still on the slower part due to the exotic parts my lower-end fabricators struggle with." "Kaching, what kind of monsters are underground?" "Not super deep, but like just 20 or so meters underground." There was a moment of silence as Kaching processed my question before she spoke with some confusion. "There is a lot of insect monsters. Most monsters who dig underground themselves aren't that strong, which is why they dig and live underground." "That's fair actually. I thought as I realized that as I was working, I needed to be able to coordinate my 2 factories as this factory was running at a deficient of spirit stones. So I had a plan. I was going to set up an automatic drilling unit that would dig out a large 20-meter-wide tunnel leading like 300 miles away back to my first major factory. The machine could also lay down train tracks and such to allow a bullet train to travel through the tunnel to bring personnel and materials back and forth between the factories. Which, although for now, it wasn't that useful beyond making sure my alchemy factory would have all of its spirit stones. But I think the next factory had to be a true weapons, munitions, and mechanical weapons fabrication plant. My thoughts of the future were cut off as Kaching spoke slowly. "So Jake, what do you think of Shinha and Ganyu?" I raised an eyebrow at hearing the abrupt question, and after a moment I answered honestly. "Ganyu is very intelligent. I bounce ideas of different pills and what would be the most valuable or useful for myself and what Liyue would want without it feeling boring or anything, with how she can speak so eloquently. On the other hand, Shinha, is a very blunt and relaxing person to be around. She is who she is, and she doesn't really wear a social mask like other people do. I felt Kaching shift and I looked down towards her to meet her unimpressed purple eyebrows raising as she gave me a look before her lips twitched before she said painfully bluntly. No, my dummy. I mean, what do you think of them romantically? Will you take them as concubines while I be your main wife? I kinda tripped over my breathing as she asked that so naturally, and seeing my expression and struggle she rolled her eyes and said flatly. Don't be so dramatic. Shinha wants to jump into your bed, is trying to hold you to cultivate faster and hasn't rejected you otherwise. And Lady Cloud Retainer is pushing Ganyu to get married after being alone for 2,500 years of being celibate. I have been keeping the real spirit stone diggers away from you who just want to empty out your space rings. But although Ganyu isn't quite ready for such a relationship, she is very traditional and with Lady Cloud Retainer's blessing and pushing something may come of it. But we still need to set a date for our own wedding, Jake Barris. Kaching almost snapped at the end while giving me a poke to the side. Alright Kaching, I will make an honest woman out of you. Hell, this factory is going to be working for the next week before anything comes out of it. Let's go back to Liyue right now then. I spoke firmly as I looked down towards Kaching and I saw her slightly bite her lower lip at the way I spoke. She silently pushed her head into my chest and I saw her little hair buns dipping back and forth as she silently nodded in agreement. Alright. Now to ask Ningguang to help me plan a wedding. I have no fucking clue how to do a Liyue-style wedding. I thought as I held Kaching in a loving embrace for a long minute.